focusing now on New Hampshire and moving forward, sounding confident nevertheless. But a huge night for Ted Cruz, no doubt about it. Even with huge voter turnout, which everybody's...
So long, everybody.
Even with huge voter turnout on the GOP side, breaking records for the GOP, which a lot of people thought were going to benefit Donald Trump with all those new voters he was going to bring in. But it's Ted Cruz's night.
It is Ted Cruz's night. He out-organized everybody. He delivered the evangelical voters that he needed to deliver, even given the fact that Ben Carson was still in this race with, 10%, and took an awful lot of those evangelical voters. I think you really have to hand it to Ted Cruz here. I think the other person... Look, you have to hand it to Donald Trump as well.
Never done this before.
And Marco Rubio now will compete in New Hampshire. And Marco Rubio will be attacked by Donald Trump. Let me predict that right here for being a part of the Gang of Eight. And the establishment money will now pour in to Marco Rubio.
One of the questions, I speak as someone who was involved with a candidate who won the Iowa caucuses in a brilliant victory. We went to Iowa. We went to New Hampshire triumphantly that night to dictate the terms of surrender, and we got beaten, having been 11 points ahead 5 days before that primary. New Hampshire is a famously changeable state, and the question is, does this showing by Donald Trump, I know we're handing out trophies to everybody here, I wouldn't give him one. I think he had a bad night. I think this is one of those nights where the first and third place finishers won by defying expectations, and Donald Trump lost because expectations were too high, which makes you wonder why he's still quoting polls.
Yeah.
Nia?
In some ways, if you flash back to 2013, the RNC had that famous autopsy, and one of the things they said was they wanted a party that looked more like America. Tonight, 61% of Iowans basically voted for 2 Cuban Americans and an African American, with Carson getting 10% of the vote. So I think that's an interesting.
Michael?
Cruz, Trump, and Carson in total more than 60%, which doesn't bode well for whomever the establishment candidate might be. And to come back to where Amanda was a couple of moments ago about a real conservative now in the lead, maybe this is the year, as David, we've said, we run the experiment. What happens when a, quote, pure conservative, instead of John McCain, instead of Mitt Romney, is put forth?
Yeah. Let's go back to Wolf with the key race alert.
All right, thanks very much. Let's get another key race alert on the Democratic side. OMG, as they say. Take a look at this. Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, 49.8% for Hillary Clinton, 49.6% for Bernie Sanders. That's with 90% of the vote in. It doesn't get a whole lot closer than that. Let's go over to John King for some analysis. John, about 10% of the vote still out, but it's as close as possible right now between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders.
OMG?
Yeah,
So you just said
that's
that?
what they say.
You take my espresso?
Yeah.
Look, this is just take the numbers don't lie. 50-50, we're rounding up. You have 49.8, 49.6. So where's the vote outstanding? That's the big question. Again, if you're in Clinton headquarters, you still have 18% of the vote out in Polk County. This is the largest population center in the state, and she's running up a big margin. That's been pretty consistent all night. So if that margin sticks, as more votes come in here, that's good news for Secretary Clinton. You move over to Dallas County, the Des Moines suburbs in this part of the county. Whoops, I just sent it the other way. Bring it back over. Again, a big lead there in this part. 91% though, so not a lot more votes to be counted here. But again, if she can keep this big lead as the rest of that comes in, it's of comfort to her. But let's come east. Well, first, let's just stop up here in Story County. 86% of the vote in. This is the place where Sanders is winning big. So when you look at the rest of the vote out, if he can keep this count, that narrows the gap a little bit. I would just make the point, Story County, not as big as Polk County to the south, so she gets more of a bounce. But you come over here to the east, Dubuque is one place Secretary Clinton is winning in the east. She needs to keep that lead. We've still got a lot of votes to count there. So this one, Wolf, is wide open. We got some math to do. And let's look at the Sanders strongholds in the east. Lynn County right here, Cedar Rapids and the suburbs around it. Sanders with a pretty healthy lead there. 86% of the vote counted if you look down there, so still some votes to come in. Let's just pop down to Johnson County. Iowa City is where the University of Iowa is, but most of the vote is in here. This is one where Sanders is winning big, almost by 20 points, but these votes are just about all counted. So let's just poke a little bit over here. Muscatine County is a tiny county. Most of it's in. Let's pop over one more. Scott County is a big county, 87% in. Very narrow race here, though. Sanders could gain some votes here, but it's so close that he's not going to gain a lot. So we got some, look, Clinton's gone up just a little bit since we started, so she has a slight edge right now, but it's 49.8 to 49.5, and so we're rounding her up, and he doesn't get rounded up, but We got some counting to do, Wolf. And
It's
we might be up a while.
49.8 to 49.5.
Yes.
To be precise, we rounded it off to 50 to 49.
The computer
but
does that for us,
It's
but
a
yeah.
lot closer. And I just want to point out, these are delegates to the Democratic Convention in Iowa. These are not actual votes. The Democrats don't release the actual votes like the Republicans do.
I'm just looking around some of these small rural counties that you don't normally think they could make the difference. When a race is this close and every vote counts, but 100% in up here, 95% here, 100% here. So most of the votes are in, except for in what I'll call the larger population centers. Iowa doesn't have any huge cities, but we're waiting for Des Moines in the suburbs. We're waiting for Cedar Rapids in the suburbs. We're waiting for Dubuque in the suburbs, and we're waiting for Davenport. Those are the places. And Hillary Clinton is winning in 2 of those spots I just mentioned. Bernie Sanders winning in 2 of those spots. So let's keep counting.
All right, and I want to walk over to Breonna Keeler right now. She's over Jeff Zeleny. Breonna's over Clinton headquarters. Jeff Zelany's over Bernie Sanders headquarters. Breonna, what's the mood over there at Hillary Clinton headquarters in Iowa?
Very excited and very expectant crowd here, Wolf. And we should really emphasize that these results are not final yet, certainly, even though Hillary Clinton has a slight edge. You can hear the crowd. They're actually watching CNN behind me. But what we are hearing from the Clinton campaign is that they are declaring victory. One aide telling me turnout is high, as Sanders said it would be expected for him to win. But we believe, based on what we are seeing, that we have won. And we are hearing this from aide after aide, Wolf. Also, we understand right now that Hillary Clinton is still in her hotel with her family members, and they are they've been there longer than they expected to be, but we are expecting them at some point to come and address this crowd. Chelsea Clinton will speak, Bill Clinton will speak, introducing his wife. Wolf?
All right, stand by. I want to go to Jeff.